Knowledge.
We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships.
This is the Couples Academy Show. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
I'm Danielle.
The queen is back. She's been gone for a long time.
I know Hassani be mad serious when I'm not here.
I am serious.
So when
I'm
gets
seriously
around me,
dropping this
he
knowledge
can't handle himself. He's
and dropping these
me.
bombs.
He can't handle it. So I just want y'all to understand what's going on. Like when I'm in the building, he just can't handle himself. So you're gonna see some strange stuff happen here and there and everywhere.
Folks, welcome. Welcome to the crazy. This is the Couples Academy Show. We're glad you're tuning in. Wherever you may be tuning in from around the world, we want to know who you are, what city, state, country you are repping this morning. We're excited because we're starting well, it's kind of a continuation of the series. We've been in Change Your Mind, Change Your Marriage. We've been talking about how we use our marriage or our minds the wrong way that negatively impact our marriage. But today we're going to be talking about how to use this mind to get the marriage that we want. But before we get started,
I want to say, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You will not miss a show. Share this with your friends and your family. We want to make sure this message hits the 4 corners of the earth. Now, back to that, what you were saying about, continuing the conversation. We have these knee-jerk reactions. Like we just do what we do. We're not even aware of our behavior sometimes, right? And how negative we can be. Even when we think we have a right to be negative, right? We think we have a right to be negative. We think we have a right to say what we need to say and how we want to say it. We have all these rights. Right, but those rights that you're holding on to are the very thing that can be tearing down and moving you away from the thing that you desire. And that's the key. That's what we really want to talk about today.
And we're going to get into
what it is that you say that you want.
And I remember we were unpacking this at the last chance weekend and really talking to them about the power of mindset and how having the right mindset can change your marriage. And as a result, people's marriages were changed in that weekend. Got another great testimonial we want to play for you. Check this out and we'll get started on the other side of this.
My name is Steven. I'm from New York. And coming here, I didn't know what to think. A lot of nervousness on the plane, a lot of nervousness the night before. I talked to a lot of friends and they said that types of therapy like this are raw, they're rough. It's really gonna wring you out emotionally. But Hassani calls this an intensive. And intense is such a better word. They really put you in a place here where you can open up emotionally. They help you to open up emotionally. Right from day one, it goes deep. It's tough, but they're there for you. And then it's a beautiful place to be. So after you put all this exhausting emotional work in, you have a nice place to relax. It's a beautiful property. They make sure that you have a place where you and your spouse can really connect after doing all this work, because you don't want to wait until you're back home to feel comfortable with your spouse again, to really use this work. And so I feel like through the whole thing, yeah, it's been exhausting. It's been difficult, but it's been exactly what I've needed. It's been achievable because of the surroundings, because of the people, wonderful people that helped out. They took care of all of our needs. And literally, I've taken so many tools with me that I can bring home to improve my relationship. And I've learned so much about myself. It's not just about improving yourself. Improving your relationship. I've learned how to improve myself, to improve my relationship. And through all the days that we've been here, there's been a real sense of accomplishment with each thing that we've done. And I go into the future with hope because of this intensive.
Isn't that what it's all about?
That's what it's all about. So that's actually somebody who's walked through it. And people often say when they get here, they have so many doubts, right? They're just like, this is going to work for everyone else but us. And yeah, it's going to be hard for everyone but us. But when they get into the trenches, they realize, wow, this is difficult to the point of a breaking point at some point.
Yeah.
But always there's a turnaround every single time. So if you're in that situation, if you're at the end of your rope with your relationship, y'all need to reach out and get yourself booked for an intensive, okay?
November 12th to the 14th will be the next last chance weekend. Make sure that you sign up. There's a link in the description. Also, really quickly, the Bulletproof Marriage Getaway is coming up October 29th through the 31st. You want to join us. It's $350 or $365. I mean, guys, come on. That's a good...
That's coffee for a few days.
Well,
Starbucks.
that's a coffee addiction.
And dinner.
All right.
It is. Most of y'all have it.
But I'm saying, join us. It's going to be an incredible time. We're really going to have a good time.
Okay. Hey, I want to recognize some folks real quick at the top because once we get going, we ain't going to stop. Hey, Torre. Hey, Jewel. Good to see you. Gorgeous. Hello. Camille, B. O'Neill, Marie, Jess. Hey, thank you for welcoming back, sis. Dee, Jackie. Good to see you. Tiffany, Hector, Jody, Ronald, Fedlina, S.I. Ivory, Ralph Welsh, all of y'all, thank you for joining in from all your various locations. I want to make sure I mention this comment from Hunt. He says, can't wait, just found you guys days ago, and y'all are truly a blessing. Hope your marriage keeps operating in the gifts of helping others keep from bumping their heads.
That's what we do this for. That's the inspiration. When you guys send comments like that, it's like you're putting jet fuel in us to continue to do what we do. So let's dive right in. We're talking about creating the marriage that you want, which is the extension of the Change Your Mind, Change Your Marriage series. And this is critically important because ultimately, many of us at some point in our lives have been in a destitute space. Mm-hmm. We've been living quiet lives of desperation, trying to figure out how do we get out of this miserable situation. Yeah. For some of us, we've become so low and so hopeless and so helpless, the only way out of the situation is out of the marriage. But we're here to tell you that you can get out of the situation while remaining committed to your marriage, but it requires that you do something different. Because doing the same thing will just get you more of the same thing.
And it's true. And it's what we do all the time. We're going to start our health regimen, right? But we're doing the same thing. We lose 10 pounds and go back to the Doritos. We got to do something different and learn a new skill. And that's what this is about, actually, is learning a new skill. Because it's one thing for you to be told that how somebody did something, right? We're always telling you, who do you pay attention to? Someone that has what you want and is going where you want to go, right? But how? The how is what gets us stumped. We're always trying to figure out, okay, but I see how you did it because you have this resource and that resource. It's not about the resource. There's a method to this madness, and we're gonna break it down.
Absolutely, because you may be looking at us today, but listen, there's a story behind this.
There's a story behind this one.
For Risnil.
I mean, when we think about, okay, how long has it been since we've been practicing the word? Because, hey, y'all, all this is in the word, okay? I would say it's one thing. What's that scripture? Don't be just a hearer of the word, be a doer of the word. So I mean, you know, we've been Christians a long time and following practices and principles that we understood. But once we understood what the word was really saying, that's when the light bulb turned on, and that's when the turnaround took place. And I think it's been about 10 years, right?
Well,
11 years.
We were in hell the first 2-3 years of the marriage. Hell. Then we got out of hell, probably were in purgatory for another 5-6 years, something like that. But I think it was when we went to Costa Rica. It was not just a physical, geographical change, right? A journey we took. It was a spiritual journey we went on, and we gained a level of knowledge and understanding and know-how. It's one thing to be taught a concept or a principle, but until you understand the proper application of the principle, it's not going to mean anything.
Right. I remember we said, we're going to actually take the word for what it says, like certain things. We're going to either prove this word or we're going to prove it wrong. We're going to prove it right or we're going to prove it wrong. And we took that word with us to Costa Rica, and it was a phenomenal experience, but we had it to rely on and each other to rely on, and we used each other the way the word told us to use each other. And wow. Yeah. From baby steps to toddler steps to teen to grown folks steps. Now we still in the grown folks. There's so much more. There's so much more we're capable of doing. But when you understand that the power is given to the children of God, then you start to walk a different kind of way. You start to change how you do things and what you say. And that's what you're going to jump right into.
So some of you right now are in a miserable situation. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to turn. You can't even see beyond today. Like, the future. I can't even see beyond my pain. And the question is, well, how do you get out of it? Most of you are soaked and saturated and focused and meditating on the very things that you don't want, which does what? Brings more into your life of the things you do not want. You've got to create a vision. You got to have a vision for your future. I want to pull up this statement and I want to read it slowly, and I want you to really grasp what it's saying, because what we're giving you is the how to create the marriage that you ultimately want. All right. It says, if you want to change, you must have in your thoughts an idolized marriage, a model that you can emulate, which is different from and better than the marriage that exists today. Now, if we look all around us, because I remember we were asked this question, can you name 5 couples who you know who are in a phenomenal marriage? And we struggled to figure that out.
Found one.
We found one at the time, and they were a great inspiration for us. We were like, man, they got that thing. We want that thing, right?
Yes.
But it's hard when you look at your family, when you look at your friends, when you look at your community, when you watch images and videos on TV.
When
it
you
seems
look
like
at the statistics.
Yes. It gives you a whole lot of doubt and belief that anything could ever get better in your situation.
Right. When you look out here in the world, it tells you marriage isn't working. And every article you pick up about marriage nowadays is talking about how people are putting it to the side. My brother actually introduced me to this book that I haven't picked up yet, but it's talking all about how men are abandoning the whole concept of marriage, because what's the benefit for them? Like, why would they benefit from being married to somebody and then at the end of it all, when it's gonna fail, because that's what we're putting out there, she's gonna walk away with half of everything. So it's like we've got this whole concept that marriage doesn't work. That's our paradigm. That's how we think.
And so what we're saying is it is possible. You have to find examples. In terms of my personal success and the things that I've done in my life with like writing books and speeches, I had to find other people who were doing it. When I found them, I became a believer. I remember being like 19 years old, and I was helping this woman, with her book at the Black Expo, and I was blown away. I'm like, she had to be like 30 something years old, and I was inspired to be an author. So I'm helping her all day long, helping her sell a book. And so she, rewarded me by buying me a meal. That was my pay. And when I started asking her questions, I realized that she wasn't 30 something. She was 21 years old. I was blown away. I'm like, how in the world does a 21-year-old write a book and sell it and have a mentor like Les Brown? I said, I want to do what she does. Now, I'm 19.
You can do it.
I'm 19 at the time.
Right.
The very next year, 20, I had a book at the Black Expo, selling it, thousands of copies. And guess what? I did it because I saw it.
Right.
Proximity is power. You have to get in your optical frames. You have to get in your eyes a visual representation of what it is that you want. And if you can't find a particular couple that represents that, then create it. Remember, it's an idealized concept of the marriage you want. Maybe it means that you want to pick an element from this couple and an element from that couple and a component from that couple.
Yeah,
and you create your own idea.
It's exactly what you do with a vision board, right? You actually are creating something out of a whole bunch of things. You get a bunch of magazines and you pick these ideal pictures and you put them together into one frame, and that's the vision. You're essentially creating a vision for your marriage beyond where you are, something that you do not have right now. And it should seem like it's an impossibility, right? Like how? Like from where I'm standing, I can't imagine having this. Somebody in here says they want to have a marriage where they can be transparent and honest with their communication. Then you begin to imagine that and see yourself having this ideal relationship where you can communicate freely and talk freely. If you want to have more intimacy and connection, you begin to grab that thought, and begin to see yourself having that. And that's just one part of it, but begin to idealize this person, this concept, this marriage that you have, not just them either. Right? Not just your spouse, but also you in the picture. The best version of you, an idealized version of you and your marriage, and that's the beginning.
And to your point, Danielle, you got to set big goals. You know, I want to break down this whole concept. I'm in my studies, and I came across something that was really powerful. It was talking about A, B, and C goals. Now, A goals are those goals that you already know how to do. Matter of fact, it's really not even a goal. It's almost like a check off. Yeah, I'm gonna get that done, because you know exactly what to do to accomplish the goal, right? A goals. Those are low level goals. Those are just basic tasks. I got to get it done by the end of the week. B goals, you think you know what to do. Now, you hear the difference? A goals, you absolutely know what to do. B goes, you think you know what to do. So if circumstances are right, and if I have this and I do that, yeah, I pretty much believe, I think I can accomplish it, right? So pretty good, but not necessarily inspiring. But C goals are goals that you absolutely have no idea how you are going to accomplish this. It seems impossible. It seems unbelievable.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the knowledge, the support. I don't have anything, no evidence that support that this could ever be done.
Right.
It is a C goal. You know, I remember reading the book From Good to Great. It talks about having a BHAG. BHAG goals are big, hairy, audacious goals.
Unrealistic. Like you tell your friends and they're like, are you crazy? You can't do that. How are you going to do that? They got every reason in the book why this can't work. It's a goal that is beyond you. It's the impossible goal. It's the impossible dream. And you know what? The cool thing is that there was a time in your relationship where you actually imagined impossible goals. You weren't afraid to do it at one point. You would sit somewhere in the park and just dream, and it was a fantasy, and it was crazy, and it was big, but it was something part of you. It was a passion, a desire. That's the big impossible goal. But now life circumstances have backed you up from it, and you've said, this can't never happen.
And that's a fact, Danielle, because when we unpack like the 7 levels of intimacy, one of those levels is hopes and dreams. And when you first started dating and you were holding hands and walking down the street, you would dream about the life you wanted to live, the house you wanted to be in, how you would vacation all over the world, the business you would start, how you would come together and be this power couple. You would just dream. And then you've given up those dreams.
Right. You gave up your dreams because you had hurt, pain, situations, circumstances, offense, resentment, and reality set in. You know that saying, like, well, once reality set in. Remember years ago we had that couple that was like, they were just in cloud 9, this young couple that was dating, and they just couldn't, they were so happy and so in love, they couldn't see a day where terrible things could ever happen in their relationship. Remember that?
I do remember that couple.
That euphoric time, that time when sky was the limit, when just being with that person, your heart would pitter-pat. That energy, do you realize that you can conjure up that energy right now? That you can attach it to a vision, a goal, and a dream right now? That you can touch and agree on something and check in from time to time and make sure that you're holding on and standing strong in the commitment of a decision right now and make things change? See, the issue is that people have become stuck. They've literally become solidified in their way of thinking and doing. They have become competitive against one another, right? And so if you're not going to compliment, I'm not going to compliment. If you're not going to save in this account, I'm not going to save in this account. You're doing everything in your power to agree to disagree instead of coming into alignment on anything. I don't care what it is. Where's the scripture?
I'm gonna get there in a second.
I need some word dropping.
I'm gonna get there in a second.
I need people to know that this is not something that, this is not some newfangled thing. This is right here in the Word. And if you read your Word and be like, you know what, this is what the Word said. Yeah. Like, why don't I go take this Word and go ahead and bury it into some good ground right now and test this Word? Because the Bible says, test it and see if I'm not a liar. He's not a man that he should lie. So his Word is real. His Word is bond. And all you got to do is get into alignment with it. And it quantum leaps the authority when you can do that with your partner.
So your dreams, your goals, they have to be bold. They have to be unrealistic.
Yes.
They have to be bodacious. They have to be over the top. They have to be unconventional. They got to be beyond you. You've got to create goals that you believe can't be accomplished in this lifetime.
Yes.
They've got to be impossible, folks.
Yes.
And now what scripture supports that? Well, number one, we know in Matthew 19:26, it says, but Jesus looked at them and said, so Jesus is teaching the people, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Do you think that that just applied to miracles? Do you think that just applied to healing? Or do you think that applied to marriages as well? Does your marriage need a healing? Does your marriage need a miracle? Listen, if you bring God in to your life and into your marriage, you can accomplish some incredible things. Yeah. The Bible even says, I think it's in Ephesians 3:20, it says he's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you can ask, think, or even imagine according to the power that worketh in you.
That means, go ahead.
Sorry, so the question is, what power is working in you?
Right.
Is fear working in you? Is doubt working in you?
Ooh.
Is negative thinking working in you? Because if that's working in you,
oh me.
If that,
oh me, God, oh me.
If that's working in you, you will never, ever be able to accomplish the impossible thing. You will live in a realm of possibilities. And because you have a low emotional intelligence, you'll never be able to accomplish.
If Hassani is preaching right now, I want y'all to put OMG in here for oh me, God, oh me.
I'm just saying.
Because it's true. We're operating in all this doubt and all these false perceptions and belief. We put the word aside, and we're looking at that as allegories and crazy stories that we're supposed to be guided by. We're not realizing that we can actually apply these things in our life, and they work. God said he rested on that seventh day. He created a whole system for you to understand. That is the thing. He wants you to understand the system that he created for you to use to dominate here on the earth. And the most powerful thing, which is the first foundation he established, was marriage. And so together, you can dominate. You can do the things that God called you to do. You can get rid of all the resentment and the contention in between your marriage, and then get that dealt with so that y'all are on one page and you're actually one, so that you can go and do the things that God has called you to do, so that you can step into your purpose. But if you're busy fighting, fussing, disagreeing, out of alignment, lacking understanding, you going in this direction and this one going in that direction, you'll never be able to become one and have the authority that you are. That is your birthright. That is your birthright.
But I know what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, I want that. I want all of that. But I'm not connected to my body. See, he don't want that. See, I've been fighting for years, but she's just not there yet. Yeah. And so until we both get on the same page, this is never going to happen. But let me correct that thought. Because when we were at our lowest, she didn't want it. She was done. She was ready to just do her thing and for me to do my thing. And I became a believer in the possibility that we could have something better, something more, something different than what we were experiencing in that season. I did not focus on my circumstances. I had to close my eyes. I had to close my ears. I had to stop relying on my senses, because my senses were telling me that this was dead, that it was buried, that it would never be resurrected. But when I began to close my eyes, because the Bible says walk by faith,
not by sight.
Not by sight, not by hear, not by senses. Walk by faith, not by senses. I'm putting that word in. I couldn't rely on what I could see, touch, smell, feel, taste. I had to rely on something deeper. And when I tapped into that spiritual world, I saw the possibility of what can happen. And we turned those possibilities, or those impossibilities, into great possibilities. But it took me thinking different. Listen, guys, what did I do? I had to hold on. I had to have thoughts of an idolized marriage. That became a model that I began to emulate, that we began to emulate, that was different and better than the marriage that we were currently in.
And God is awesome, because I remember that phase, and I remember that, you're starting out with the imagination, right? You're thinking, okay, there's got to be something better. You start thinking these positive thoughts. Here I am over there thinking, this Negro is never going to change. I am so tired of this. Like, I done told him 1,000 times.
Wait a minute.
What?
The white folks are like, is it okay to call your husband a Negro?
I said Negro. Ask your black friends. They'll help you out. And I said to him, you know what? Look, this isn't working. This is not working. I don't want no parts of it. You do you. I'll do me. But because he had a vision for something, all of a sudden something came on the radio and he started hearing somebody preach and say something that I had been saying over and over again. So that was another clue. And then after that, he started getting some video tapes, cassette tapes, y'all. Yep, cassette tapes. It was way back then. He started getting cassette tapes, and I'd be sitting there watching the news or something, and he would come in and he'd say, hey, can you watch this with me? And I'd be like, okay, whatever. And I'd be laying there like not interested. And he put this cassette tape in there, was teaching about marriage and helping. And he started putting it on every day, and I could care less because I was tired of saying the same thing. I was tired of him promising change and not seeing it. I was just tired, right? But he was consistent. He was doing it day after day after day. And then he started actually doing some of the things that the person on the tape was talking about doing. And I started noticing that. But I wouldn't say nothing because I'm like, we gonna see. Because the last time he made a little bit of change, he went right on back to the same thing. And then he was consistent. And y'all, one day, I looked up. I was like, oh, he's actually different. Let me see, like, if he could be different, maybe I could be different. You know, he's doing better. Maybe I could do better. And I started listening to the tapes with him, and we began to grow together and move forward. And so people are always saying, I can't do nothing because they won't. It only takes one consistent person to make change happen. It really doesn't take that both of you get it and see the vision. Sometimes it's just me that sees the vision in the beginning, and it takes him a while to get it. Sometimes it's him that sees the vision in the beginning, and it takes me time to get it. But if somebody has the vision and is walking with God by his side with instruction and is consistent, change is inevitable. You could drop a bomb. Change.
I'm saying, folks, it all comes down to that.
Change.
It only takes one.
That's it.
The question is, are you that one? Because your paradigm, your mindset, your thinking will keep you trapped in the reality that you're currently experiencing. And you've got to be able to break out of that. And the way that you break out of that is by changing what you think. Ralph Welsh says the way to the future of a good life marriage is faith and a mindset. You have to try and help each other and believe that everything will work for you in your life in the future. Love it. Carmel said, I love Claire and Cliff from the Huxtables, from the Cosbys, excuse me. Great model. That is, and see, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have a real life model around you, find something that is idolized, even in fiction, because guess what? That fiction can become your reality.
Yes.
Listen, all it requires is you modeling the right thing. Lisa says, begin to visualize the marriage you want. Intimacy, honesty, etc. That's exactly right. What is my impossible goal? That's the question that you should be asking yourself.
Marriage.
What does an impossible marriage look like?
Impossible marriage. Begin to dream that. Y'all should write it down. Get a journal out and just script what an impossible version of your marriage can be. And if you are in alignment with your spouse and you both want better, then do it together. And that way you can hold each other accountable to those thoughts and those visions and the things that you're meditating on. But if it's just you right now, you can get a journal and you can write that thing down and read it every single day. Matter of fact, you should read it twice a day at the minimum.
And we're going to talk about, we're going to go deep into how you create these affirmations, what you do with them, and how they begin to deposit things in your spirit that causes a break and a shift in you, that causes you to show up different, to get different results in your life. The impossible marriage is what we're after. Even the Bible says, there's another scripture. Hold on, let me get to it right quick. It says, for nothing will be impossible with God. That's Luke 1:37. So why limit him? Why limit yourself? If you truly are a believer and you believe in God and you're embracing the fullness of who he is, which is his spirit and his system, his presence and his principles, there's nothing that you can't do. And if you could see miraculous things, transformational, supernatural things happen everywhere around you, why can't it happen for you and your marriage? You've got to become a believer. Remember, I want to say it again, Ephesians 3:20. He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ask, think, or even imagine. So that means I need to increase my thinking. I need to increase my asking. I need to increase my imagination, because he's going to go beyond it.
Like this, he's talking about what you have not even conceptualized. You haven't even thought that big. Real quick, I know we're wrapping up, but me and Hassani, we do our drinking drives with coffee, right? And so Hassani and I saw this property was for sale, and we drove into it. It was a farm, the Shenandoah Farm or something like that. We drove into there, and it was a horse farm. And we went on one side, and we saw this little like a chalet house, and then we went, and they had a small little, what do you call the thing where horses, a stable. Then we drove all the way on the other side, and there was this huge monstrosity of a building. And it was for horses to race and to train and to jump and to do all these things. It was on 60 acres. We drove on that property. We were like, wow.
We were blown away.
We were like, somebody had a vision for this. Like, somebody had a vision. Somebody loved horses, and they probably started with one horse, and they had a vision to have 60 acres and hundreds of people with horses, thousands maybe, to come through here and train to be elite horse riders. And we were like, time to increase our vision.
Time to increase our vision. Listen, the more you surround yourself and expose yourself to the things that you ultimately want, you believe that you can now accomplish it, because you begin to say, well, wait a minute. Well, what makes him or her any different than me? They breathe the same air. They put their shoes on the same way. They eat and fart the same. Like, what's the difference? Mindset. It's this paradigm. And that's what we're going to talk about. How to become a master of your mind. How not to be a slave to the laws that govern your mind, but to gain a knowledge of it and to become the master of the laws that govern your mind, so that you can have the marriage that you ultimately want. Listen, we're taking our time with this. What we're trying to do, we're building up your belief. We're building up your confidence. We're building up your faith. We're building up your know-how and listen, that's because if you can believe it, then you can achieve it. Don't focus on the how. The how is irrelevant. Just get the idea and the concept in your mind and feed it and become soaked and saturated in it, so you can have a marriage that you don't even recognize. Boom. Guys, you better stay tuned.
You better tune in.
You better stay tuned.
Don't miss it tomorrow. Come back.
Listen, this is the Couples Academy Show. Hope you got something out of today. Bring your family, bring your friends. We're going to do something powerful this week. Take care.
Bye, guys.